Thank you for joining us for the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association's Lewis and Clark webinar series. We're going to wait a few minutes to give people time to sign in, and then we'll start our webinar on Indian relay horse racing. I want to welcome all of our speakers and those of you that have joined us today. Our webinar today is the Indian Relay Horse Racing. My name's Gail Shehak. I'm a Klamath tribal citizen, originally from Southern Oregon, but living down here in Albuquerque. I serve as IANTA's Tribal Relations and Outreach Manager. Today I'll be your moderator and I'll manage the questions and answers at the end of the presentations. I ask that you place your questions or comments in the Q&A box. For those of you that aren't familiar with IANTA, for nearly 2 decades, IANTA has served as the national voice for American Indian nations engaged in cultural tourism. We provide technical assistance and training for tribes and Native businesses engaged in tourism, hospitality, and recreation. We're really excited this year that our annual American Indian Tourism Conference, Reimagine, Reemerge, and Reunite Stronger Together in Indian Country, will take place in person at the Weekapaw Casino Resort on the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation in Arizona from October 25th through the 28th. Our registration is now open, so you can join us. I want to also invite you to our second interactive town hall event hosted by our board president, Emerson Vowell, and CEO, Sherry Rupert, on June 30th. At this session, we will discuss our travel site, nativeamerica.travel. We're planning to refresh the site and would like your input. The site offers free listings to travel tourism to tribes and Native businesses. We want your help to share Indigenous experiences to the world. You can find links to both these events and other IANTA resources in the chat box. Before we begin, we're going to ask you a few poll questions so we get an idea of who's in our audience. So Sherry, if you'll share those. First of all, what region do you represent? These are the IANTA regions. If you're not really sure, just kind of guess where you might be. How familiar are you with Indian relay horse racing? Are you somewhat familiar, very familiar, or not at all familiar? Third, have you ever attended an Indian relay horse racing event? And fourth, would you like to attend a horse relay event? So you can see your answers. Quite a few people from the Southwest and the East. Quite a few that aren't familiar with Indian relay races, so you're in for a treat today. Most of you have not attended a relay race, but everyone would like to. That's good. So thank you for your questions, your answers. So today's webinar is about Indian relay horse racing and the excitement that it generates. It's one of America's oldest known sporting competitions, dating back more than 400 years to when the horse was reintroduced to Native cultures in the Americas. This exciting extreme sport is currently experiencing a surge in popularity with tribal nations throughout the Northwest and the Plains regions and beyond. Indian relay is rapidly becoming a major driver of tourism. Our speakers will share how Indian relay can help boost local economies, including contributing to hotel occupancies, food and beverage sales, artisan opportunities, and so much more. I'm pleased to introduce our speakers today. Calvin Ghostfair from the Oglala Lakota Nation is the president of the Indian Relay Horse Racing Council. He's been involved with horse and relay racing in North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Oklahoma, and Texas for more than 20 years. His experience in flat track and Indian relay racing are helping drive long-lasting and sustainable event programming for Native Nations and relay members. Joining him is Jamie Howard, a horse race breeder and owner from Wayne, Oklahoma, where he operates Running Colors Equine Incorporated with his wife, Wendy, and their 2 daughters. Primarily raising and racing paint horses, Jamie began racing his horses in South Dakota and Montana before sending them to Colorado, Texas, and Oklahoma. He became interested in Indian relay when one of his racehorses was placed on an Indian relay team. Since then, Jamie has been an advocate of Indian relay and assists in preparing Indian relay races and has bred several horses specifically for the sport of Indian relay. So I'd like to turn it over to Calvin. Thank you for joining us and sharing your experience. Calvin.
Thank you, Gail. I'd like to thank your organization for allowing us this time to expand on Indian relay. We'd also like to thank all the people out there who have taken part in your survey. That gives us a lot of information and gives us a read on the audience and the people out there with not only the Native Nations, but in the larger towns and communities where hopefully one day we're able to take this exciting sport. We started this organization in 2017, and we're in 2021, and it seems like things are just gotten to the point where they've continued to grow at a rapid pace with the youth programs that we've incorporated. We've also started the women's program. So there's things that are happening that we continue to prove on, and we're getting more and more interest in the larger communities and towns, cities, to bring this exciting event. So we're excited, very excited to be here this morning, and look forward to participating and answering as many questions as we possibly can. I guess at this point, I feel, if our board, to talk a little bit about our board and what we're about. We wanted to increase, a lot of the involvement and opportunities in Indian relay, and of course the growth of the sport. And the board has been very instrumental in putting this event together and promoting it. Myself, Carol Murray from the Blackfeet Nation, who's not in attendance right now. She's our vice president. Our secretary, Jamie Howard, who's on this call with us. Our treasurer, Carla, and Diana Volk. So a lot of credit goes out to them as well. I could share a little bit more about the Indian relay, the description of it, I guess, but I guess I'll give it back to you, Gail. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. Sherry, are you going to do the video?
Yes, I can start the video, and then Kelvin, you can continue your presentation after that.
Five determined teams consisting of 3 horses, 1 rider, 1 mugger, and 2 holders entering the track, each taking their designated box in preparation to the start of the race. All 15 horses primed and ready to leap into action. 1 rider, 3 horses, 3 laps. Months of preparation leading to this moment. The holders and muggers risking their own personal safety with every exchange. Riders leaping fearlessly from horse to horse, clinging to stay aboard. It's easy to see why Indian Relay is filling the stands across the West. Family-oriented for both spectators and contestants. The sport has been passed down from generation to generation, allowing these Native Americans to tap into their warrior spirit. Over 14 races every year, all leading to the Championship of Champions, with teams from the United States and Canada. Five determined teams consisting of 3 horses, 1 rider.
How exciting.
1 mugger, and 2 holders entering the track, each taking their designated box.
Thanks, Sherry. Gave us a second view. So, Calvin, would you like to continue?
Yes. Like the video said, and the 3 horses involved, and you may have 6 teams out there at one time on the line. Of course, you start with your lead horse, and you have 1 rider and you have 3 team members. So you have a total of 4 team members. Consisting of a holder, mugger, and a back holder. But the history of Indian Relay started, early 1900s on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation in Montana. And, there's been a lot of discussion in how and when and where each of these races that we hold, not only the relay, because we do other races aside from the relay. But as you look at the video there, or on the screen there, it shows the Crow and the Cheyenne at a race in Busby, in Ashland, Montana. So what you see is you also see the competition among the Plains tribes. Not only were some of these Plains tribes prior to the early 1900s, where they, sometime at war and at odds with each other, but this was a way where they came together and they had some friendly competition as well. So this event has kind of evolved to modern day, but we always got to keep in mind that where this event had came from and how it started, how it got its roots, and where it really came from. And I think that's very important that we always consider that and keeping in mind the cultural aspect, because each and every tribal nation has things that they hold dear. And I think some of these things for some of the tribes in the Plains, for myself with the Sioux tribes, there's certain things that we've done in as far as games, but they've evolved as part of the Indian Relay movement and racing native style as well. Next slide. What you see here is I like this picture because it shows the determination, it shows the drive, and it shows the athleticism with these young warriors. To the left there with a pink headband on is a gentleman from the Crow tribe. His name is Ashton Oldout. All the way to the right is Lawrence Harvey, who is a member of the Oglala Sioux Lakota Nation. The guy in the green is another member from, I think he's from the Crow tribe as well, but I think he's part Northern Cheyenne. I do not know his name. I forget his name, but what we're seeing here is the turn, coming home to the finish line. And this is basically what you'll see, the determination and drive for these guys trying to finish at the line. That's a really nice picture. The next one. Right here is a start. This is a start at one of our grassroots, or one of the smaller reservation tracks. This one right here, you'll see the team off to the right all the way is a team from the Crow tribe. The one in the white is a team from Blackfeet. They came all the way for this event as well. You'll see the excitement at the beginning, because the holder or mugger is very important, because if he can't control that horse, then you're not going to have a good start. So it's very important to have a good start to compete in the race, especially the first race. The first horse that sets the tone for the rest of your race. So it's important. Next. I think that the video here is one of the ones where it shows that the guys that have been doing this a while, they've kind of modified some of their the things that they wear as far as safety. The riders on the left, and looking at the riders on the right, they've even got to the point where they have to wear goggles and glasses, because if you're behind the horse in front of you, then you're gonna get dust in your face, rocks in your face, your eyes. So they've adapted, and you see the kid riding real low there. I think that is Skunk Cap. He's from up in Idaho. He's came down and he's riding in one of the races. So you see a variety of different riders who are from different tribal nations who are competing every other weekend, if not every weekend, throughout the tribal nations. Next slide, please. The kid in the purple is Scotty Abrahamson. He's from Washington. This Colville tribe. This right here is on, I think this might be an exchange or a start. Yeah, it's a start. It's on a start. The kid to the right is Tyler Peasley. Both these two gentlemen right here are both from the Colville tribe in Washington. This race looks like it was one of our races up in our finals up in Washington 2 years ago, pre-COVID. Next slide, please. We've seen Ashton a little bit earlier, coming in on his exchange, second or third horse. He has just looking at him and his determination, and what, on any given day, this kid here can, as well as a lot of other kids, can exchange. And if you look at the height on how much more taller he is above the horse, these kids just have so much athleticism, and it's amazing to watch them and capture these pictures. And I think Diana does a great job in doing that. But this is a nice picture. Next slide. This right here is coming in for the dismount. One thing that's you could clearly see when we ran these races last year, these riders have their masks. Last year, when the COVID was it was still at a high level throughout all of the communities in the United States, we incorporated and put some measures in place, and to provide masks, provide wash stations, and provide testing, some testing and different things that we've done. But anyway, what you see here is teams were riding with masks and face coverings last year throughout our short season. Our season was a very short season, but we ended up having 3 trial races and a finals in Casper, Wyoming. What you see here, they're dismounting with their masks on. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, that we did follow our CDC guidelines. We incorporated it, and we've had success. We've had zero cases. So with the things that our board and our group incorporated to do this, of course, the crowd sizes and the different things that, as far as spacing, we incorporated them as well. So our crowds weren't as big, but we still went ahead with the sport. Next slide, please. Okay, so the pictures here, if you look at the one on the bottom, the kid in the purple is from the Oglala Sioux tribe. His name is Caden Brinksplenty. He's running on the bottom, and he's skip hopping, and so he eventually makes that mount and catches that horse and jumps on. And he does have a successful race. The kid all the way to the left who is dragging there, I think that is Tyler, and he was riding, and you know, some of these kids will get drugged. They will slow that horse down, and they're able to get back on and continue the race. You know, so I mean, it's just the determination in these kids. You know, in any clean run, you always want to have, you know, a nice clean run where you don't have these mishaps. Well, these mishaps do happen, but like what's the pictures are showing is you do have these kids that do recover and continue the race, and a lot of them end up winning, a lot of them end up placing, but it's just the warrior driving them to continue the race. Next slide, please. To the left, you have the Two Medicine team from Browning, Montana. To the right, that team there is Young Bear Express from the MHA up in North Dakota. These are some nice pictures. The one on the left there looks like the one that we just had, a fresh picture, a new picture from the race in Buffalo, Wyoming. Nice picture. I haven't even seen these ones. These are nice pictures that Diana had put together. Next slide, please. So right here, this team here is Pecunny Express. I think that's Narcissus Rivas from the Blackfeet Nation. That girl who is on his team, most of the men's team will have, you know, of course, four males, but there are some teams who bring either the daughter, the wife, or girlfriend, or family member out who is a female. Females do a good job, do an excellent job, and they take, you know, just as much of the bumps and bruises as the males do. What you're seeing right here is she's trying to get out of the way. Narcissus came in, looks like he got on his mount, he exited off of the horse that's right next to him. The guy what I can't get is the guy's just standing back here watching while the girl's in the corner. But it's a really nice, and it's a catching photo because it shows the girl getting out of the way, because the track, for one, if you notice, has mud on it. So there's you know, you got your footing is important there. But the thing that's catching to me is the girl she's part of her team and she's avoiding the horse. The horse came in, he's touching the other one. Rivas is on his horse and they're getting ready to exit. Pretty nice picture. Next slide, please. Mountain Crow Relay. This is a crow team. They were running really, really hot for the past 2 years. Well, I guess last year was a short season. They won one of our races this year. They won our first race over in Hardin, Montana. The guy behind him, I think that is another crow team, S&M Express. It looks like Dustin Kruger. Really nice picture. I guess the thing about this whole thing is that you see the guy in the center back there who is probably kind of tapping the horse on the butt to get him going out. You can't even hardly see him, but you can see his headband and his hand up. And then Kruger is coming right behind him. These pictures tell a lot. You know, once you start looking at them, you look at where everybody's positioned and how intense the race is at that time. I think this is one of the, I do not know where this race is at, but there's two crow teams. Next slide. Um, the kid on the left, he is the jockey for, I think it is another Crow team. They made it into championship in Buffalo a week ago. The teams on the right there, the one looks like in the green, they are a team from Washington, and the team behind them looks like that is another Crow team from the Crow Reservation, Cody Brown's team, River Road. Nice pictures. Next slide, please. This young lady is from the Manda Hidatsa Arikara tribe. She was a senior. She just graduated this year. They've been one of our very first teams who participated in the women's relay. We started the women's relay 2 years ago in Ogden, Utah. Since that time, you know, because we've seen a lot of ladies running so well in the maiden race. We've seen a lot of ladies participating, like the lady that was with the Pucani Express team, Narcissus Rivas. We thought that it would be fitting for us to see how many of these ladies would like to start their women's team. And the young lady that you see here, she is one of them from the MHA tribe. Their team was one of the first ones, and they ran the whole year. They participated in Ogden. And matter of fact, they won our first Indian relay competition in Ogden, Utah. Her and her sister, vegans, Janelle Vegan, they have two teams. So they are taking this very serious up there. The family has not only a women's relay, but they have two women's, not only the men's relay, but they have two women's relay teams. And then they run all of the other relays, the junior relay and the maiden race, warrior race, and chief race as well. The vegan family out of North Dakota, they've been supportive of our events, and they make every one of them that they, when they have time, they can make. So that's a nice picture. Next picture, please. This young lady is a newcomer to Indian Relay in 2021. The team is Ovi Das from Fort Washakie from the Northern Arapaho tribe in Wyoming. She is a barrel racer and a team roper, her family rodeos. And so what you see is you're getting a lot of conversion from the families, the native families who participate in INFR and PRCA and SDRA and all the other rodeo organizations. She converted and seen Indian Relay and watched it for a couple of years. She came out this year, and she's won our first Indian Relay race in Hardin, Montana. And then she came back and raced in Buffalo, Wyoming, and she won that one as well. This team, Ovi Das, is running hot. You know, just within the Indian Relay communities and Indian Relay discussion, her team is one that is being discussed quite heavily. If you notice to the left there, the team in the orange there, that is another team from Wyoming, Washakie girls. If you notice the lady there, I think she's the mother of the rider from what she's getting the horse set up. You can't really tell, but the rider is getting on. She's holding the horse for her daughter to get on. The third team behind them, it looks like it is another team. That team right there is the Blue Moons Relay from South Dakota. So we're getting a lot of them. We had 8 teams entered into the women's Indian Relay in Buffalo, Wyoming. So it's just getting very popular. Next slide, please. This is the girl her mom was helping her out. Twani Washakie, they call her Tiny. She is a sophomore in high school. She's also a basketball player. She just had knee surgery. If you notice her, her riding and her, her determination, she's got the whip in her mouth. Anything and everything that you can do to get your horse out and keep yourself, in the race, you see that in this young lady's face. So they've competed last year. This is their second year racing, and they're doing some good things. I look for them to finish strong toward the end of the year. Next slide, please. This is a race at the start. Again, you see the Fort Washakie 20 Washakie on the left, and then you see another girl right here, and it looks like this was in a maiden race off the right. She is at the starting line for a maiden race. Next slide, please. The girl all the way to the right, Old Sun Relay. They came all the way from Canada this year. They came down, they raced in Hardin, Montana, and then they stayed an extra week and they ran in Buffalo, Wyoming. When they came from Canada, they brought about 16 people with them. We talked a little bit about how the numbers and the teams when they travel. You may have a team that's traveling with a ladies team, a men's team, a youth team, and the maiden and relay race and the warrior race. When you look at the total numbers per team going to the event, you can have anywhere from 8 to 16. I was using 8 to 12, but I looked at some of the teams that are more close, like here in the United States. Some of them are taking 2 and 3 vehicles with all their, their supplies and everything. So it varies. You'll get 12 to 16 support and participants traveling with that team. The Old Sun team, again, they stayed for 2 weeks. They're back in Canada. I talked with her dad a couple days ago. They put them in quarantine. Their rules are a little bit different than ours, but he can't wait to get back out there and get back to running a couple races in Canada, and then he's wanting to come back down here into the States to participate as well. Next slide, please. The youth relay. To the left there in the orange, you see the Buffalo Runners. The Buffalo Runners are a team that come from the Blackfeet country. That's the proud dad on top there with the camera. That's his son there. They've traveled all over. They're very supportive of Indian Relay. His dad and their organization, they do a good job in promoting and supporting the youth programs. Our organization as well, we do and promote not only the kids relay, and we'll see that soon here, but the youth relay. What we've done is there's a gap. You go from the kids, and then you got the youth. That is a gap, the age between maybe 12, 13, all the way up to 16. We really start pushing and promoting the youth side of things. There has been some tribal nations who were already promoting and doing some things that were geared to the youth relay. Well, this year we really decided, our organization, we decided to really promote the youth program because them guys got 1, maybe 2 more years before they start racing against the more experienced and more, I guess, the more elite Indian relay racers. But the kid to the left and the kid to the right, both, one is with the S&M relay, and the other one was of Crow, and the other one here is Buffalo Runners from up in Blackfoot, up in Browning, and they're doing a great job in coming to the races and promoting the youth relay. Next slide, please. This race right here is just is some of the, looks like it's still some of the youth relay racers. This looks like it was over in Buffalo, no, Hardin. The team that you have, again, is the Buffalo Runners, the one in the center. I don't know, I can't say who that team is. I can't really see their markings on him. The kid all the way to the right, I think that is River Roads from Crow Agency. Next slide, please. Here's what we was talking about, the kids, the little bitty guys. We started these little bitty guys out when we first started our organization. We just felt that the little kids with their little minis, we've put some rules in place for height, the height restrictions on ponies and the height and size of the riders. And, you've got some teams that take their grandsons or sons with them, and it's not really nothing for them to put the little guys in there. Some of our rules, they are 7 to 11-year-old for little guys. They're 32 to 52 inches. And then the juniors, they're a little bit bigger. So what we do is we try to, classify them, and we have things in place that are gonna, keep the fairness across the board for the little kids and the juniors. That's just one thing that we incorporated, and it seems to be working out. Next slide, please. Now, these are some cool pictures. I think the little guy here to the left, I think he's part of the River Road team with the kids relay. And the guy to the right, the little kid to the right, that team there, I do not know. I can't remember the team. Normally I could see the colors or a sign on them and I know what team that is, but this is a really nice picture of both these little guys. Next slide, please. This is to the finish line. You got the kid in the purple. He's been riding for a number of years. Skunk Cap from Idaho. The kid to the left, I think, is a Real Bird from Crow. The kid in the back is, I think he is Timber Ridge Relay. This one right here was one of our first races. I think this is in Hardin. Next slide, please. There's some pictures of this, the finish must be the chief race. What the chief race is a race that's in honor of the chiefs, the tribal chiefs. You see some of the guys wearing the bonnets, and they call it the chiefs race out of respect, and it's to honor the chiefs from them tribal nations. So it's really an honor race. This looks like that was right there. Next slide, please. Warrior race. Warrior race is one of the races that was started with the Sioux tribes, and it was explained to me that the warrior race basically is it's called running to the fight. It was explained to me that the warriors, anytime they were threatened, that they had a holder who would get their horse ready, and the warriors would run to their horses, and when they would mount the horse, they would run to the fight on their horse. They would gallop into the battle. They run about 50 yards. They have a holder with the horse on the end. And what they do is they jump on and the holder releases, and they run around the track one time. So what you see right here is you see a team over there all the way to the right. That's a team from Browning, Montana. The guys in the red are from Ogallala Sioux tribe. The guy in the pink, that team there, they're from Crow. We've had a lot of interest. This race right here, like all of our races, there's a lot of preparation, but you see a lot of these young men working out and getting themselves in shape before the event. So it's very intense. There's a lot of athleticism involved in this. This is a good picture. It shows what they do. Their team in the red, they're jumping on, grabbing the neck. If you look at to the left there, he's grabbing, because when you're running and you guys got a hold of the horse, you don't really have time to like get set up, grab the reins. It's just one way. You just better get on and run to the battles, basically. Next slide, please. Red Man Relay in the pink. He's a member from the Northern Arapaho tribe in Wyoming. The kid on the right is with Rising Sun Relay from the Great Sioux Nation. The kid on the left, all the way to left, it looks like Ashton Old Out, who's with the Crow tribe. This right here looks like it's either the start or a finish. But them guys are, see their lips, how they're pointing? They're not really pointing. They're smooching, they're whistling their horses. So, you know, we all say, some of I know within the Sioux, we tease each other, say, well, we're pointing with our lips. Well, these guys ain't pointing, they're whistling, they're smooching their horses. That's what they're doing, is they're whistling their horses. That's how these guys are trained. These horses aren't trained to run at the whistle. So we call it smooching. That's a cool picture. Diana done a great job in catching a lot of these photos. And some of these photos, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen because she has so many of them. And you know, you go to her website and she has, you know, tons of these pictures. Next slide, please.
Calvin, I'd like you to just kind of do a check on your time. Thank you.
I don't know where I'm at, to be honest with you. I guess I'm getting close.
Right.
Next slide, please. This right here is the finish line. You have just 3 teams there, but the teams that are there were the ones that we, some of our newer teams, you know, Timber Ridge is there, the purple team, they're from North Dakota. Next slide, please. This is the Maidens Race. This is a ladies race. Basically what this is this ladies are lining up. They're one time around the track. They'll get a guy that'll escort them out there and help them out. But this is a race in Hardin, Montana. Next slide. Again, these are some more pictures of the maiden race. The one to the left is in the gold and black. That's a team from the Hunkpapa Standing Rock tribe. The one to the right is the late young lady from the MHA Nation, vegan. Looks like that's a finish line photo right there. Next slide, please. She must have won, her arms up. So that had to be the finish of the maiden race. Next slide. Braley, was that Braley to the left? It might have been. Next slide, please. This is the 2017. Scotty Abrahamson was the winner of the 2017 race, our very first race. And we had this in Billings, Montana. Scotty Abrahamson is still, you know, he's one that I guess I want to just share a little bit about. He's continuing to pursue his degree in engineering in Washington. He's been a role model in the things that he's done and setting an example, because a lot of our participants and the younger kids looking up to him is key for us. We can't all be role models, but we can look to young men like Scotty and look at what he's done and his accomplishments and how that can, how that can influence some of the younger kids. And Scotty's one of our, I guess he'd be considered one of the elite riders within the relay communities throughout the United States. That's a nice picture of him. Next slide. 2018 was Matthew Pacutis. That was our first year when we moved the Championship of Champions to Walla Walla, Washington. Northwest Express. Next slide, please. (2019) Scotty won 17, Matthew won 18. 2019 Scotty came back in Walla Walla again. He won it that third year. At that time, in 2017, 18, and 19, the Washington teams were running really hot, and a lot of their participation and the intensity, you know, they were winning. They won them 3 races that year. Again, it's just a credit to their training and their discipline, and all teams have that. But that year, these teams were running hot in Washington, and they earned every bit of it. Next slide, please.
Calvin, we really do need to wrap this part up so that we have some time for Jamie.
That's fine.
It's been really exciting. Thank you.
Hey, Calvin.
Yes.
Yeah, great photos, Diana and Calvin, explaining on what's happening on each one of those. The thought process on that first slideshow was to introduce everybody to Indian Relay and give some feeling that you're right there. And trust me, I've been right there before where those photos are taken and from judging and those kind of things. But we have a term for that in Indian Relay, and it's called in the way, if we wind up as close as what those photos are. And most of the time, those guys are not paying attention to what somebody wandering around the track is doing. But what Calvin was talking about here with the Championship of Champions, that is our marquee event that Horse Nation's Indian Relay Council does every year. Started in 17, like Calvin said there in Billings, moved its way to Walla Walla, Washington, after there were some changes at the track in Billings. And then from Walla Walla went on to Casper, which is what we have here. The way that we run our organization is the champions. Most all those races that Calvin went over were races that are done throughout the season. You see our schedule up right there. We are involved in all of those races to some degree, but some of them we manage, some of them we run completely, and some of them are accredited. But they all lead up to the Championship of Champions, which you see there in September 24th, 5th, and 6th. We're proud to have the Wind River Hotel and Casino and the Northern Arapaho Tribe on board with us for our Championship of Champions as the title sponsor. But those races that we were seeing pictures of, all the way from our season opener in Hardin, Montana, continuing on to Fort Pierre, the winner of the races in the Tour of Champions earn their berth into the Casper, Wyoming Championship of Champions race. Entry fee paid. Otherwise, they run in 2 of the accredited races throughout the season, and they can enter the Championship of Champions. We do, that's a 3-day event, and it's from Canadian teams and U.S. teams, of course, that we promote heavily, and each of the champions from those races throughout the season are promoted heavily at the Championship of Champions. But that's kind of how the program works as far as these teams that are racing throughout the year and earning their way in to the marquee event. And that event pays out $50,000 in Indian Relay money, purse money. So there's quite of attraction there. It has had the economic impact of the Championship of Champions. This year we ran calculations again, along with Visit Casper, and the economic impact of the Championship of Champions and of Casper, Wyoming this year will be close to $500,000 of economic impact. So it is a deal for the cities, the hotels, all the restaurants and everything with your event in their town. So we do see some really good participation from the community in assisting us with putting that event on. Most of our stuff is done through Facebook. If there's anybody from tourism industry that wants to check out our Facebook, we're over 30,000 followers now, and we have a very active Facebook. Most posts, Diana takes care of most of them, and most of the posts that go out will reach 15,000 plus. So we can reach our audience readily and quickly. So if there's any interest in the tour industry of attending one of these events, or any way that we can help promote Indian Relay is what we're about. And it's bringing, like Calvin said in the beginning, the whole goal of this, to wrap up the whole idea of it, is to bring this event out more to the public, and maintain the Native American culture with it. So that's what we do. I mean, we never got into it. Each one of these events will have a local drum group, which Calvin coordinates with the whichever local, so I say it right, but the local tribes of the area wherever we are putting on a relay. They are invited, and their color guard drum groups and those are highly encouraged to come on with us and be part of the event as part of the opening ceremonies and closing. So in a nutshell, I guess that's kind of what we do. Calvin, do you have anything to add?
No, I guess if there's, I know there'll be some questions, but I guess we'll wait for the questions, and then we'll just expand on some of them, because, I know there'll probably be some, we've got a lot of participants. We didn't talk about the numbers, but we have over 50 member teams, United States and Canada. I think the numbers are going to be bigger this year. I mean, we're looking more like 60, because we have more and more new teams registering. And so just wanted to throw that out there as far as numbers.
I want to thank you both for a really exciting presentation. Love the pictures. Before we go to the questions, I want to thank the National Park Service, Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail, for the support of these webinars. We are working with the National Park Service to promote events like this and other attractions along the trail on our nativeamerica.travel website and the Lewis and Clark.travel website. So to the questions, you just answered this one. How many nations have joined your council? Where can I find more descriptions of the race history?
I know that for race history, you could, I'd reach to within my tribe for my elders and my spiritual advisors, and I got my information from them. I know, for instance, with each one of the teams, they reached, you could get the information from them, or you could talk directly to a team, because each and every team, I could give my version of what I have, but each and every team in their own right, they have their version and the reason why in the relay is ran and within their tribe, so I would encourage them to ask if they know a tribal member, or if they know someone within a specific tribe, they could reach out to one of the teams from that tribe.
Wonderful. Sounds like a project for you, Diana, with your beautiful pictures to get some of these stories. You've got a book in the making.
Thank you very much.
Diana, do you want to say anything? I know that you gathered most of these images. Would you share some of your experience?
Well, one thing about Indian Relay with me is it never gets old. It's the excitement that they bring to the relays is never ending, and the teams are phenomenal. They're so outstanding and nice to meet. And you know, I've been doing it for probably 10 years now, as far as taking photos of the Indian relays, and it still excites me every time I go to an Indian relay and get to see how
I think we
because there's so many races and they have become so professional with it. The older teams are bringing these younger teams in, and how thrilled they get when they see their junior teams win or their kids teams win. You know, they're all along the fence and they're all cheering for whoever's in the chief race or the warrior race. And different tribes are cheering for different tribes because it's fun to be there and participate.
Okay, we had a question about what the kids' ages were. And Jamie, I see that you answered it, but it didn't go to everybody. So would you mind answering that one again?
Yeah, the kids, what we call the kids relay, is 7 to 11-year-old riders, and the horses are 32 to 52 inches. And they perform in an arena-sized track. They don't go around the whole track. We do it in front of the grandstands. And then the junior relay, which is the next one up, is there's what we would say regular sized horses, normal horses, but the riders are 12 to 14, and they're using the entire track, but 2 horses. They're the ones that are getting started to step up to the men's relay. And not that we don't have riders that are of that age group that can compete in the men's, but they can't compete in both. But so that's how that works. But they use 2 horses in the juniors, so they don't have as many switches. And so that's how the program to step from kids up.
Thank
if
you.
that answers the question.
And then there's a question about how many women teams do you expect to be racing in 2021?
I would say that we'll have 12 teams. Maybe, you know, at our championship, I would think we'd have between 12 and 16 teams, just based on the popularity. Teams that are spin-off teams, family teams, like Jamie had said. Most of them are realizing now that their nieces, they're running in the maiden race anyway. You know, heck, we might as well start them. They help us out. They know what's going on. So the spin-off teams, I think we'll pick up another 4. We got 12 teams now, but I think another 4. So I wouldn't be surprised to see 16 teams in our championship in September.
Okay, we have a question from Griselda Rogers. If I wanted to have a relay race in my community, what do I need to do and how much would it cost?
I guess one of the things that we do as an organization, first of all, I mean, you need to look at you need to determine a couple things. One is the facility, the location, the facility condition, seating. Do they have hotels? Are there, you know, things to support teams when they show up to town? And there's a store there where they can buy feed. You know, all of these things are taken into consideration. We just don't go out and just have a race. We do a little research in that community to see if there's enough there, enough businesses and enough, you know, to sustain the team and horses. As far as cost, Indian Relay has grown to where on any given weekend, if not every weekend, you can run for $10,000 up to $50,000 someplace, you know. So and you know, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 is not out of line for some of these teams on the weekend to go run at. You know, I'll just add one thing, and we realized that running Indian Relay with the PRCA rodeos, that we could pull away from them PRCA rodeos, and our event can sustain itself, because we had so many contestants. we realized that that we could stand on our own and fill the stands, and we have done that. We've proved that. So in the relay, you might see that still in Sheridan, Wyoming, or you might see it at the Calgary Stampede as just a pre-show or an opener. But an Indian relay event with all the additional races, it's not uncommon to do that anymore. And I think we've proven that we could get these facilities and we could hold these events there, and we could pack the stands. We've done it. So I just want to share that.
Well, thank you all. We do have a few more questions, but we will send those to you so that you can answer them directly. We will be posting this webinar on our website, and we'll send a link to everyone who registered so you can view it later or share it with friends. Please follow us on ianta.org for future webinars. And if you're not a member of IANTA, or you're not listed on nativeamerica.travel and would like to be, please contact me. That's at GCHEHAK@ianta.org. Thank you, everyone, and we really appreciate your being here today. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.